welcome to the Light Gate. We are live to you coming tonight on this nice Monday night from United UPRN Public Radio from New Orleans. It's 107.7 and United Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3. We're on Roku and we're on YouTube and we are on Facebook and a few other applications and platforms. I want to let our Roku people know that we love you. We know you can't see us, but we will endeavor to explain everything so that you know exactly what's going on in our show.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. We've got a really amazing guest for episode 9 of The Light Gate. As you all know, I'm Preston Dennett, and my lovely co-host is experiencer Dolly Saffron. I'm very happy to see a bunch of familiar names in the chat room. I want to give y'all a shout out because I truly appreciate you showing up. Hi, Brian. Hello, Gray Troll. Rad Peanut, always good to see you here. And Scuba Maru. Girl in the Desert, how are you doing? And DGK.
Hi, DG.
Yeah, thanks all of you for showing up. Here's Dana Matthews and
Hi, Dana.
Janice Connet. And a lot of you are showing up. This is awesome. Mal K. M. Wang. Awesome. Very cool, you guys. I really appreciate you coming to listen to us tonight. I'm really excited about our guests. We met him when we were doing a podcast in a different language, actually. I'm not sure if was it Mexico?
Yes, I think so, yeah. Somewhere like that. Yeah.
But he translated our answers. So he is actually fluent in both English and Spanish and was an amazing guy. And the more I learned about him, the more impressed I was. And his name is Martin Rivera. Super excited to speak with him. He's a UFO researcher and an experiencer, and really actually has an amazing resume. He's a quantum hypnotherapist. Now, this is a technique that was first developed by the highly regarded researcher Dolores Cannon, who, if you haven't heard of her, you should definitely look her up. She's hugely influential in this field. And Martin has been studying the subject of UFOs and ETs and other subjects for many years. He uses the technique of quantum hypnotherapy to help experiencers remember and process their otherworldly encounters. And he's actually certified in quantum healing hypnosis and past lives at the Dolores Cannon Academy in Arkansas. And that's not all. He is a co-founder of Quantum Balance. This is a healing arts center with transformational programs based in Long Island, New York. He also does past life regression therapy. Dolores Cannon was huge on that. And occasionally future lives pop up, so that should be interesting. But also does sound and light healing, emotional healing therapy, pineal, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Pineal gland activation, connecting with your higher self. That's so cool. Meeting your spirit guides, accessing your Akashic Records. This is all stuff I love. And Reiki healing. Being fluent in Spanish, he has translated a number of books into that language, including Dolores Cannon's The Custodians and Keepers of the Garden, and many other books. He has worked with many people, authors and experiencers, aiding them in their journey of spiritual discovery. As he says, I help you to connect with your higher self for healing, mind, body, and spirit. So yeah, many people have recalled past lives, reaching back to Atlantis or Lemuria, or even a past life as an ET. That should be interesting because I think I've had a past life as an ET, as we might have a chance to talk a little bit about. But others just recall ET encounters as young children. He helps them through that. So the possibilities are really endless with all of this. And of course, Martin has had some really astounding and astonishing UFO experiences of his own. So this is going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'm super excited. And let's just bring in our guest, Martin Rivera.
Hi, Martin.
How you doing, Martin?
All right, so eager to do this show. Thank you so much for the invitation. I really feel privileged to be here with Dolly
Oh,
and yourself, Preston. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, when we first spoke and you were doing all the translating for us, you just had such a bright light and love energy that
yes.
I was instantly entranced and looking you up. I'm like, wow, this guy's very accomplished. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to hear all about your journey learning hypnosis, especially want to dig into some of your UFO experiences. And of course, all the stuff you've done working with other people with past lives and sound healing. Did I mention you do sound healing? I think I may have
Yes.
skipped over that. But yeah, I thought it might be fun to start with your own experiences because you sent me some notes. You had some
Yes.
really interesting experiences with UFOs as a young kid. I would love to hear about that.
All right, then. So let's start up. So buckle up, people, because it's gonna be a fun ride. Well, I was born in Mexico City, and then since I remember, I had, we go down to the point, right? I had this experience. I was like between 3 and 4, and I was in the backyard. I remember these huge trees. You were when you're always a kid, you see
Everything's
everything is
huge.
huge. Everything is big, house, the trees, everything. But I remember playing, but with myself, and then and all of a sudden, between the trees, I see this. Now I consider it was like a UFO, like wobbling, real like this, with multicolored, totally silence that
Wow.
discarded any helicopter. I'm talking about like late 70s, So we arrived in the Mexico City, and then there was no sound whatsoever. And I just, I stare at him, it just went by, silently wobbling with lights, shining around. And that's it, I just kept it for myself. And for me, it was like, you're a kid, you don't think about,
Well,
and
I mean,
then
how low was it? How close was it to you?
oh, yeah, that would be interesting. I could consider like probably like a couple blocks away from me, really, because I was able to see like a size like this,
Yeah.
behind the trees. I was able to see like there were like 2 or 3 trees, and it was like just going in, from the back, and it
Wow.
was like slow moving and wobbling,
Now, was anyone else there with
No, I
you?
was like playing with myself. It was like almost, like yeah, it was getting like darker because I was able to see the light shining, so it wasn't like that bright. Neither wasn't like really, dark,
What
So
were
it was
you
kind of like
thinking at the time? What was going through your mind when you saw it? Which,
nothing. It just, I was, like I say, I was a kid, so I look at it and let it go, I mean,
Wow.
nothing went through my mind really.
But
Later
you
on,
remembered
as grown up, yes,
Well, I'm jealous because both you and Dolly had experiences very early. I don't remember any. I think probably I did, but I suspect, Martin, because this is a pattern that turns up in so many contactee cases, that they show up at that age. And I have come to learn, and I've said this before, probably on this show, I don't know, but when someone sees an object that's pretty close, and that's more than just a sighting. I think that they showed themselves on purpose. I'm speculating, but having heard this so many times, I mean, that's remarkable. Age 4. Wow. 5.
you, you went through hypnosis, we can know exactly what happened. We can go back to the same scene. We got two ways with Dolores technique. We have these two ways. Either you go back exactly the point that happened, and we go
Right.
over the subconscious, or then because her technique, you can call the higher self. I don't know if anyone is related to this concept.
Oh, yeah.
All
I'm
right.
certainly familiar with it, but yeah, feel free to explain.
All right. The higher self or the source, that's who really the one who answer all your questions. Because when a person comes for a hypnosis, we ask him to bring two set of lists. One, all your questions that you ever had in life that you cannot understand, accidents, illnesses, events, conflicts, all sort of kind of stuff, that you didn't get, that you didn't could understand. Why did this happen in my life? And the second list is your health, present and past. So part of the protocol of Dolores Cannon technique is like, you experiencing sometimes those past life. We call it like quote unquote past life, because we know time, it doesn't exist really.
Right.
So because everything's existing at the same time, really, But for the general public, we get used to say the term past lives, right? So sometimes people experience 1, 2, or 3 past lives, or sometimes a future life, or sometimes they open their the subconscious part of ourselves to release that trauma that you had accumulated, that you suppress, that you subconscious mind automatically suppresses, like when you go through an event that it was very stressful, automatically to protect yourself, the subconscious, that's their job, repress it, in order for you to survive. But then that is really toxic sometimes.
Well, I really want to dig deeper into that in a little bit later in the show, but I still want to look more about or hear more about some of your other childhood experiences.
Okay, whoa. Wait, did you do hypnotherapy to recall that incident?
I haven't yet on my own, really, because
Okay.
I've done 2 sessions on my own hypnosis, but it was for healing first,
Okay.
But then, yeah, that's still pending on, of course. Yeah, that's on my risk, but it's on my own, what I mean? But other people, yes, I go directly to that,
Right. So what was the other experience you had?
Okay, the other one, actually, I had one with my whole family. We were at this park, and we see this UFO like just darting, boom. We all just stunned, my father, my mother, my sister, when I had little sisters, we all started, like stunned, and then jokingly, making jokes about it. But we all witnesses, But the one that really, that gets my whole attention, I was like, that was way back in 1991.
I want to hear about this. Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. That was the solar eclipse that happens, through the whole country of Mexico, from the west part and going to the middle, like a whole lot of states, covered the solar eclipse. So I remember just going to, the rooftop. I used to live in a 2-story apartments, so we went to the flat roofs because we're in the city,
Right.
And then I remember just me and my friends, getting ready, the whole process of the eclipse, And by the time it was total eclipse, you can look up, it's only like a minute,
Right.
That you can see the ring, right? Just like this, like the figure behind me, just that.
Yeah.
And I remember we were looking up, that was amazing. Just think about it, like it's like New York City, Mexico City, like New York City, all traffic, stress, ambulance, sounds everywhere. All of a sudden, it's like everything stopped. When the eclipse happened, even the temperature dropped down. You could feel chills. Usually like 80 something degrees at that time because it was in July, so probably like upper 80s. So it's pretty warm, and then you could feel chills. So it kind of like a drop like 60, like lower 60s. And then everything's silence. I was like a movie, Everybody was quiet, and staring at the sky, looking at the solar eclipse, and then to our left, we saw this bright object, hovering, and we start speculating, like, is that a planet? Is that a star? We all start, speculating about it, but we all saw it, and it was strange, But then, as the eclipse move on, the object we could barely see it, and then kind of like a disappear. And we were like, and then the following day, I guess you all know about Jaime Maussan, which is one of the journalists, biggest journalists in Mexico, who, he was invited over to this TV show. It was like a live TV show, and it broke the record. We went for hours, for like, I can't remember whether like 8 hours, but it was a 2 hours live TV show. So it went for like almost 8 hours. So, and then he started getting all this video footage from people from different parts of Mexico showing that object. So there was a solid proof in there, there was something in there.
I'm so familiar with that incident because, as it turned out, I went down to Mexico to see the solar eclipse.
Did you?
I did. I was not in Mexico City, and I kicked myself to this day because we actually went to Baja California, La Paz.
Right.
but we saw it, and it was amazing. And you're right. Temperature dropped. You could see all the stars coming out. It was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
But what's so amazing is that all those videotapes, when I was looking for them online, they were hard to find. I did find them.
Did you?
But yeah.
Nice.
I honestly think this is some of the best photographic evidence we have, because there was some 20, 30 different people situated all over the city. So you could actually triangulate how big this object was, how high it was.
Right.
And a lot of people described seeing a silver disc. Now, is that what you saw?
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what we saw. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly the same. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. The only other footage I think that comes anywhere near comparable is the turkey footage.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
If you've seen that, that's really good. But I would highly suggest anyone who's interested in really good footage that's absolutely undeniable, look that up. And I'm just so tickled to hear that you actually witnessed that firsthand.
Oh, yeah. And you're right. There were over 30-something people, photographs and videos and all that from, like you said, different angles. So that was solid proof.
Yeah, I think that was an absolutely intentional display.
Yes, it was.
You know what I mean?
Preston, did you pull one of those clips to put up or not?
Oh gosh, I could search for it. Well, I don't know. It was hard to find. I should have.
I know. Yeah. and you know what, Preston? After that event, ever since that year, is this huge waves of fleets, UFO fleets that we see, like, those like orbs or spheres, like just floating, they start showing up every year. Like you could tell, like even we're like over 20, 30, and then once in a while we got over hundreds in different parts of Mexico, different states. Popping out here and there, it was huge, all these 90s periods and even the 2000s, so yeah, we really, in Mexico, they were getting used to see all these events and sightings and all that. Like, many people,
That's what I've heard. It was like, oh, another UFO. We've seen those. And I think that's really also significant, because Mexico has been very forthcoming compared to other countries, because you simply cannot deny it when everyone has seen it.
As a matter of fact, that was in 2003. One of the generals, remember, this is a general from the army in Mexico. He handled one of the video footage from the army, because they were, monitoring this airspace down by the Gulf of Mexico from any airplane, from drugs or cartels, and they had this footage. They had these 12 spheres just floating. They weren't able to see it by the naked eye. They had to use the radar, and it was an infrared radar. Because they couldn't figure out what it was. And one of these objects just approached to them, like, very closely, and they were saying, you could hear the recording, the pilots that were saying, "Oh, we're not alone. So what is that? We don't see it with the naked eye, but in the radar it shows up." So that was another proof, and the whole media was, went nuts about it. They start speculating and trying to explain the most nonsense explanations about. It was ridiculized, really. It wasn't taken really seriously, and then the army said, we don't want to make any comments anymore. But actually, that was the first one.
Wow, that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Did you ever keep any clippings, or hold on to these clips yourself at all, or research it yourself at all, or?
You know what? Jaime, my son, he kept displaying it every once in a while, every year. Like these footage. Every time there's like the July. It was probably like July something. I can't remember exactly the date. But every time that comes back, the anniversary, he always displays this footage. They always, and there's on his shows, and these videos that he always display every week on, through his channel, So they're out there, But yeah, you could look for it. You might find it, So, but yeah.
I have a question for you. Did your experiences young sort of push you in the general direction of doing the work that you do today? In other words, did it up your interest in everything, and how did that evolve?
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah, definitely, absolutely. Because I was growing up, and I remember watching. I was 11 years old. That was exactly the time when I saw the clips, and
Right.
I remember watching the show Cosmos by Carl Sagan. That
Yeah.
famous TV
For that
series. You
one.
guys
Yeah.
remember?
Yes.
I was 11 years old, and he take the cases of Betty Barney and the abduction case and all that, and that shocked me. And then I saw the solar eclipse, so I kind of had the life crisis. Even it was like 11 year old.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. That's the one. Yeah,
There, that's the Mexico. I found a
yes,
still photograph. It's not great, but
yeah, not great,
it's
but
in
yeah,
a
but
metallic disc.
yeah, yeah,
Yes. That's a
yeah.
good picture. Yeah.
So yeah, that really get me. Like I had always this like wanting to know, if there's life out there, like because in school they teach you like we are the only ones. There's nothing out there. Religion tells you as well. So back in my mind, it was like it can't be. And of course, I suffer from depression, from the teenagehood and all that. I had my own trauma, really. And because my family and all that, that was a big lesson for me. And sure enough, that kind of pushed me into the direction of becoming what I am, a therapist, really, you know, because I went through the whole process.
Hmm.
And having like, even I remember back then in my teenagehood that I had suicidal thoughts, and all that. So for some reason, like I was like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired like being like this and having this crisis of existential crisis. I decided to just follow this path. It's kind of like funny way was like the life keep push me to this direction, really. So yeah,
That's amazing.
if that
So,
responds to your answer, yes.
what was it like? I mean, so you moved to the U.S. at some point and discovered Dolores Cannon's research, and what was the whole process of learning how to do this?
Yes, yeah. When I moved to the U.S., I still clueless back then, and of course, I was studying and working. I had all kind of works to support myself. But then I decided there was a point in my life that I said, like, what is my priority? I want to be good with myself. I can't just because I had like these times where I still have this depression, and feel sorry for myself and not letting go about the past. That's how I started, approaching to these, all these therapies, all these alternative therapies that, because I knew back then, because I don't want to go into the process of conventional treatment of, having pills and all that. I was like, no way, that's
Right.
not going to help me. So I discovered this field, and sure enough, when I started, doing, hypnosis sessions, workshops, retreats, and all that, I started feeling that, feeling good about myself and understanding my own journey, and going through that process of forgiveness, understanding, and that was really my empowerment. That's when I discovered Dolores Cannon. And funny thing it was, I remember, hearing actually Johanna Diaz. That's the one I, introduced you guys. That I helped you guys with the interview. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
present yes, he present a Dr. Brian Weiss. You know, one of his books back into the late '90s. That's the first time I heard about past lives and all that. So I heard that interview and I started digging his books. And sure enough, I started digging other people's books and started going over the material about past lives and all this. But then when I stumbled upon Dolores Cannon, that was in 2010 when she was presenting her latest book back then, which is the three waves of volunteers and the new earth. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
She's very popular.
Oh my
Her
God.
books are still on the Amazon bestseller list after many years. She's passed away, of course.
Yes.
God
Yes.
bless her, because
Yeah.
yeah, and she was also very much interested in the whole past lives. And I think
Oh my
this is
God.
very interesting to me because this is connected. People talk about UFOs and they don't want to talk about the paranormal and the past lives. I'm like, wait a second here. They're absolutely connected. So I'm kind of really excited to hear you sort of pulling that all together.
Yes, everything's connected, really. And then sure enough, when I heard what was all about the book. It just blew my mind. I felt that she was talking to me.
Mhm.
That's how I was introduced to Dolores, and I started, buying her books, reading them, and eventually, like, decide I'm gonna, study it and take her classes. So when I decided was like 2015, and she already passed, for a couple months. So matter
Oh,
of fact, I was gonna watch one of her lectures in, I can't remember, what was it, Minnesota or Minneapolis, one of those two cities. And I remember I was, looking online, to book my my flight and the hotel. And we got the news that it was suspended because she got an accident, whatever. And 2 months later, she passed on. So I
Yeah, I
was
got
like,
to meet her once actually at a convention not long before she passed,
yeah,
and there was of course a crowd around her table, and I waited. I was very polite and waited, and she was very gracious, and we said,
awesome.
I just briefly spoke with her because there was a lot of people who wanted to
I
talk
know,
with her.
right?
But what a
Yeah,
neat lady, and her books they
mind
stand
blowing.
out because she doesn't edit. She's not interested in overlaying her own belief system over
No.
things, but would actively talk to people and then start having conversations with them while under hypnosis.
Oh, yes, that's exactly her technique. Yes.
Yeah, so I know a little bit about it.
Great.
so how long did it take for you to become like certified? You took all
Uh,
these classes and
it's actually, a whole year, really, because they have like courses. So I
mhm.
went, you had to practice. The beautiful thing, it was like on the first level, because there's like 3 levels. The first level,
right,
you know, students are allowed to practice into each other, part of the graduation. So you have to go through the process. It's
Mhm.
not like the psychologist that you study it and who's gonna do it to you. No, you go into the process. So you go into your healing process too, to discover and expand more your consciousness and your soul journey as well. So
right,
that was amazing, because that we had we had paranormal events even in that day too. you know like very strange things happened in like couple days. And even when I went back to, the same happened. We had these orbs floating around the house we were renting it. And
yeah. I wanted to hear more about. Wait, don't skip over that.
oh my god, I'm
That
so
sounds
excited
interesting.
to share with you guys.
Yeah,
But yeah,
describe the plot. Well, I mean, because I've seen orbs a few times. I had an orb come down in front of my car, and I had missing time.
did you?
I was once at a channeling session,
Right,
and I was talking with my sister-in-law Kisara and another
right.
contactee, and I'm just talking to her, and this orb comes scooting down between us, and it looked kind of weirdly interdimensional. So I didn't
Right.
really say anything until my sister-in-law Kisara shouts out, "I see that!" and then Wendy, the other lady, I'm like, I see it too. So what was your experience? Like seeing these orbs,
Oh my god! The funny thing is, like, it was like 6 of us, right? And then that was uh, the night exactly when we finished. We finished the second course. And then that was, after graduation. We rent a house between 6 of us, because we make, pretty good friends of us. And these other girls that we met there, like, we invited her over. And she came over. And you know it was embarrassed sometimes when I say this, because when she showed up at the door knocking, like, "Hey guys, I'm here," and she brought a bag of weed. I was like,
all right,
like, personally, I don't smoke, I don't drink. And I was like, but I never judge. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So like two or three of them, they came out to smoke, right? So me and other two girls, I was cutting a watermelon, actually. I was in the kitchen, cutting it, and we just talking over, whatever. And then like half hour later, one of them came back in, goes like, guys, come out. We seen these orbs floating around the house. And in my mind, I was like, these guys are just hallucinating. So I kind of like came out, reluctantly, and I go like, so I went there and I didn't see nothing. It was like for pretty more than 5 minutes. So I was like, where are they? I don't see anything. And then I remember, like, I was gonna say it loud, like, I don't see. I was gonna say the word nothing, then this orb came from a top of a tree, a pine tree, a tall pine tree, came over like slowly, and it flashed a beam of light in my face. Like here I am. And you
Wow.
can see, he kind of blind me, and he went like this. You can see the beam light just going an angle, going back to the orb, and just continue his path. Flying over, going across the other house, and just getting lost. But it was very, very low, like probably like 30 feet higher, because the pine tree was pretty big. So
Mm.
probably
Did
like
you feel
30, 40
anything,
feet.
or did you get any messages or feel anything, or?
No, we all get like really excited, But then, yes, after knowing that, say at that time, I was having a session with a client. Here's how my method is. When something I experience or something else, I have a client that doesn't know me or doesn't know other people. Then when we talking to higher self, then we can make these questions, and then
Right.
we have the answer. See?
Very, very cool. Well,
So yeah, the answer was, if you want to know what exactly was.
the chat is definitely listening. Here's a comment from Izzy Beth. You can just feel his warm heart. Sorry, Izzy Beth, I had to put that on because it's true. And here's another really nice comment from Dr. Flor Zatarain. So happy to see your guest, Martin. He is my QHHT practitioner.
Wow.
So,
Amazing.
very cool.
Well, she's a doctor, see?
So nice to see you, Flor. Thank you very much. Very cool. So yeah, this completely transformed your life, huh? I mean, this absolutely took a hold and changed the direction of your life.
Exactly. So yeah, I was able to ask these kind of questions sometimes with clients, and yes, I had an answer back from higher self, explain us that we were related, because that was part of my plan too, and they using my consciousness to be aware of this dimension, so other people can see them.
Wow.
Isn't that strange?
So after you graduated from this class, I mean, what was the next step? Because you co-founded, this organization, and you're getting into sound healing. And when did you start hypnotizing
Oh,
people?
that's actually, was 2015, and then the Healing Art Center that we have. Well, Dr. Flora is my wife, really. In between both of us, we do these programs. She does kind of like fasting stuff and nutritional life food. So she takes care of people, on their physical part, and I'm taking care of the emotional part, or mind's part. So, and I use all these techniques, and I had really strange experiences with some people, even using sound healing.
Wow.
Right. I want you to explain that to me. What is that?
Okay, sound healing is a technique, using sound, sound bowls, these crystal sound bowls, or even the metal ones that are Tibetan sound bowls too.
Right.
But they've been calibrated with different frequencies. It's
Right.
like when you have these binaural beats, they had two frequencies, and when they play at the same time, it creates a third one within your mind, in your body too, kind of like shake you up.
Yeah.
But then I combine it with a little technique of hypnosis to relax you,
Okay.
and I had amazing results. So let me show you this. This little. So here's one of my bowls.
Oh,
See?
nice.
So it makes a frequency, and I have a set of 5 of them.
Which sound frequency is that one?
Yeah, this is about 432, and then it's like different ones.
Okay.
Right, it goes to 500, it goes to 700. Yes, you can. Yes, thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Preston. You did your homework. And you know what? I had a magnificent experience with a client that I couldn't get in under hypnosis, and she had many issues, but she had many very stressful life, and she couldn't even concentrate to have a quiet moment. And anyway, I use the sound bowls. I just want to start experimenting, and combining it. And then I also have a machine, that blinkers, kind of like a blinkers, but it's like a light frequency, and it
Mhm.
works on your brain waves too, to get you down to the alpha state, or sometimes the theta, depends, in yourself. But I combined those three techniques, and guess what? I remember having this case, and I was just starting relaxing her, and she had this astral body, experience that she saw like this tunnel, going upwards,
You know
and
what
then
that's like, yeah.
by the time she realized, she's like laying down on a, like a metal bed, and these lights, like she was in operator room, and then she started waking up on the journey, right? And she started, concentrating, well, who was around her, and she started seeing these people, with dressing like a doctors, but at the time she's like, start looking their faces. It wasn't a human face.
There you go. Wow.
There you go. And she was gonna get excited, she was gonna get scared, but then something tells her mind, you are okay, you are protected, we're gonna help you.
Right.
And she passed down, like she just faded away. And later on I wake her up, and the funny thing is, like, she never told me, because I had other people, it was kind of like a workshop doing at the same time,
Oh, yeah.
many of them. And then she took off, because after every workshop, you are able to, we can share whatever experience you have, only among us, and then she told me, no, I had a light headache. 9 months later, she calls me back, and that's where she, told me about, her experience. But the issue that she really wanted to is because she couldn't get pregnant, and then she had a treatment, and all that, and doctors were saying, no, you're okay, you're good, but for some reason she could not, and she was kept trying for over 3 or 4 years with no result. That's why she approached to me, and then a year later she became pregnant, and she had her baby.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if people realize it, but past lives, going through them, remembering them, can lead to absolute physical healings, not only emotional, but physical healings.
Yes.
And that's very well documented. I've got some books on it. I had no idea, because I was looking into cases of people who've been healed by extraterrestrials.
Right.
Which is, of course, definitely a thing. But yeah, remembering past lives. This happened to Robert Monroe,
Yes.
who did astral travel.
Yes, I read that too.
Bruce Moen, he had sarcoidosis of the liver, which can be really bad.
Yes.
And he was cured by remembering a past life. And I've had my own OBEs where I go to a past life, and it's almost always the trauma, the death scene or something really horrific. So yeah, I can totally see that happening. But here I've got a question from chat, which is very timely, because you must be psychic, Martin. You actually mentioned this lady was having trouble going under hypnosis. And Janice Connett in our chat room says, Martin, have you had people that cannot be hypnotized? I have tried 3 times and really wanted to, but unable. All my experiences, even of past lives, have been conscious, which is good, actually. I think.
I want to chime in here for a second, okay? This person is awake. Your consciousness, who you really are, you're indwelling this body, is wide awake. And your physical mind has to be able to hear it, hear yourself talking to yourself. That's why your pineal gland is what it is. And if you have remembered past lives on your own with no help at all, and you're not able to be hypnotized, that's because you're already awake.
Exactly.
You just need to revel in that and start experiencing that as it is. In other words, just go within.
Right.
The sounds help, the singing bowls help, but you have to push everything away from you. You can't have anything to bother you when you're doing it. And if you want to do it alone, that's great. If you need help, go get help. But you don't need to be hypnotized. You just need to go within, and you'll get it. You're awake. You'll hear it. You'll see it. It'll all hit you at once. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This question is coming up. So, I mean, what if you're not remembering stuff and you still can't be hypnotized?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then you have a control issue.
Exactly. Yes. I had a protocol, really, when people come for hypnosis. I put them to this protocol to I teach them first to meditate, to a technique of meditation, and I have a recording that I send it to them, and they must practice on their own this self-guided meditation that you breathe in and just, doing, a visual technique.
Right.
And you go into this clear space of your inner peace,
Right.
where there's no control, like you said,
Right.
no fears, no doubts,
Nothing.
no skepticism. That's how you must come to for a session.
Right.
None of that. And trusting. That's one of the major, important reasons to be hypnotized.
Absolutely.
You have to trust your practitioner. If you
Right.
don't trust, you're not gonna go under.
Right.
Simple as that.
That's right.
Yeah, well, I've always said that you really want to vet your hypnotist, because it can be, in the wrong hands, it can be damaging.
Right.
You can lead to false recall. But I think done correctly, it is an extremely powerful tool. I believe I mentioned that when we did our previous show together.
Right.
It's an important point, because
Yes.
I often have people coming at me like, you should not recommend hypnosis. I'm like, well, hold on. It can be very useful.
It is, and the things that I love from Dolores Cannon was I study other, before I deep dive into her school and all that. I was searching for which one would it be more suitable, because I really want to get the bottom of things. When I discovered that you have an access to higher self, which is the part that knows everything about yourself and everyone else.
Right.
And it's really, for healing.
Thank you. Perfect. That's exactly true.
Yes. So when we tap into this source of knowledge, it tells you exactly what was your soul journey. Why are you experiencing this illness, these discomforts, accidents, relationships, everything that you think of possible that you really wanted to know exactly. Why I had this drunken parent that he mistreated me and all that. Was it fair? No. But then when you go into this past life, there's information there. And sometimes people go into ET lives.
So is that something that just happens sort of spontaneously? Because when someone comes to you, they're like, oh, I want to, have a session. Mm-hmm. Are they coming specifically to remember, say, an ET experience of their childhood, or is it open-ended?
Okay.
Where do they go? Does it sometimes?
Right.
I imagine sometimes it goes in directions you're not expecting.
Exactly, that's the thing, because we don't know where people are going to explore. Because higher self, that's the one who's conducting the session.
Exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
Yes.
It's the whole point of know thyself. We're all here to learn about ourselves and to heal and to gain wisdom and knowledge.
Yes.
And you have to do it with yourself first. That opens you up, and then you hear everything in the universe chatting to you. You become an explorer at that point, and that's when you start to evolve. But you have to heal yourself first. You absolutely.
Yes, and even
I find it fantastic that people come to you somewhere in the back of their mind, their consciousness is going, we need this, you got to do it. They're compelled. They don't realize that they're being compelled by their own selves.
Yes.
And it's amazing to watch them wake up when you do the work that you do, because it's incredible to see. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's like watching a baby being born.
Exactly, Dolly. Yes, exactly. Every session is like that, know. And like I said, for us, it's a surprise too when people start, exploring those paths that we just gonna follow the thread, whatever they, the experience, we just trying to see the scene, and something is important that is happening at that time, and then our job is to move them, from day to day, from important day to another important day, sometimes to the deadest scene. As a matter of fact, one of my sessions of QHT, I saw my deadest scene at the really beginning. It was very dramatic, very kind of like a traumatic, but it was very healing.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like soul is connected to all these other lives.
That's right.
And sometimes you carry with it, it's connected, still connecting in your mind pattern, suffering.
It's weird. I had a hard time figuring it out when I was really little, because my first conscious memory of a previous life, I was probably 2.
Wow.
And I wouldn't let anybody touch my back, even my own mother. I was, no. And she couldn't get it out of me. Why? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. And it's because I remember perishing at the hand of somebody else. And I'm not going to describe it. It's too creepy. But let me tell you, it affected me really hard. And I kept thinking. And then it popped into my head when I was about 4 or 5. Oh, I know what this lesson is. Oh, my heaven. there is no death. It's all life. Even
Yes.
though I wasn't in that situation anymore, I moved on, and I shouldn't be really weird not about it anymore. I should be grateful that I got out of that situation, and I can bring forward through my own life a resolution to it, and I did. And it was almost, you release it. It's a wonderful feeling. It's like being born.
Exactly.
You just lose it. You just go, oh, that's what it means. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
And every
Yeah.
single life you remember, there's a lesson in there. That's what karma is. And we just go through them and heal ourselves. Until
Yeah.
one day you're just sitting there, you're going, I'm cool. I'm really cool. This is
I
good.
started having out of body experiences. It was one past life after another because I was very fearful, and I'm like, oh, this is probably why, because all this trauma. So
Right.
I'm wondering, Martin, like, what are some of the more dramatic sessions that you did, which kind of took a direction you didn't expect? Can you
Oof,
think of an
yes, a
example?
great
I'm sure
question.
there's a lot.
Yes. I had this case where, this girl was, she was molested when she was a child, and then she's coming out of the, at the end of the war, the civil war in Central America, and his father was, kind of disturbed and crazy really after, being battles and all that. And somehow she started getting molested by him, by his uncle and all that. So she got this trauma for many years, she never spoke to anyone.
Wow.
But then when we went into the hypnosis part,
Yeah.
this is very interesting because it's related to ET lives.
Right.
She
Right.
she saw herself as this red being, it was like a human, body and all that, with no sex. They were kind of like 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 either,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Yeah. Androgynous. Yeah.
androgynous, exactly, kind of androgynous. Yes, had it in my tip and my tongue, and then, and she started describing herself like that, like kind of reddish skin and all that, and she was able to see other ones just like what it was. I don't know, it was male or female, I don't know. And then she started describing everything, and they were at front of this volcano, and it
Oh,
started
wow.
erupting, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes like, so what are you doing there? She goes like, well, there's many like us, and we're all blind, but I can see them. And I go like, why are they blind? Because that's how the dialogue goes back and forth, And she goes, well, we lost the value of life, and the volcano is erupting because because the planet cannot take it any more of these all our emotions, all these conflicts, all this anger, all this confusion. And I was okay. But then when I call upon higher self, that's the one who explains us exactly, right? And I go like, is this place is on Earth, in another dimension, another time? No. I was like, oh, where is this place? It's another planet. I was okay. So
Wow.
what? And we always ask, why do you show her this lifetime? And he goes, because they lost, the value of life. That's why she was signed to be here on Earth and experiencing everything that she went through, in order for her to value life. And guess what? What she does now? This is
That's
amazing.
five.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, she works on these nursing homes, for the
Yes.
elderly.
Yes.
And guess what? At the time of the session, when Harrison was explaining about this, he goes like, and everybody that she was taking care of, that helps in the transition to the death, they're so appreciated. They love her because her smile was like an oasis for them.
Right.
Her kindness.
That's amazing. You know why? Because it's like that throughout the entire universe. That's why we're born not just here, but anywhere else in the universe that there's life, and
Yes.
that we have free access to all of it.
Yes.
And the really cool thing is that it's a lesson in that we really all are one, and that we are
Yes.
taking care of one another. And that's our
Exactly.
purpose. That's our absolute purpose, to help each other learn, help each other grow, and move through, and work on yourselves as well. And it's amazing when people affirm that, and they hear it, they know it, and then they start living it. And
Yes.
that's awesome.
Oh
I
my
like that
God.
you do this. I love that you do this. This
It
is a
was.
thing
Thank
that
you so much. It was very motivating. I had my tears down, really. I have to confess,
yeah.
I'm kind of like empath too. I can feel people's emotions.
Yes.
And you could, I have a little bit of footage, for her, for my clients, for their own use. And I remember having this, my voice recording, because sometimes they speak so, lower. I have a
Mm.
microphone here, a clip of microphone, but I always have two devices. Because sometimes the energy can, interfere with these devices. So I have the second one, a voice recording, like almost,
Yeah.
closer to the mouth, and film it,
Yeah.
And I remember shaking my hand like this, but I was focused, and my tears, streaming down, because it was very moving, what she experienced. And of course, it was
Right.
so healing for her, and she was able to understand why all this happened to her,
Right.
in the ET life as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Have you ever had a client remember their exact last life, the last previous life before the one they're living now, and how much have they been able to recall of that and why?
You mean through the hypnosis, or before the hypnosis?
Before and then during, like open more of a up during like they get an idea and and they're pretty sure about it, but they want to confirm it to themselves.
Well,
Come in.
I had two types really. One, yes, sometimes they had some, they call it dreams,
Right.
and we can go actually to that dream, in the technique. I had other people who done like workshops, like a past life workshop that I do is more, more simple than that. There's no dialogue. You see everything within yourself, in your mind. It's like a dream, and you write it down.
Right.
After, when we finish, and sometimes it could be, for some it could be information. It could be a lot of information. It depends. It's everyone's different. But I had this young lady who recalled a life being like a fish, and she was like, confused, after the workshop.
Yeah.
But then she decided to, to do, a QHD session. I'm like, okay, let's go into the lifetime that you saw it, like kind of like a fish. And guess what it was? She was a mermaid.
Ooh.
We
Wow.
were like, what?
Let me tell you something. There's a planet in the Delphi system, and I've been there a few times, and they have beings who live in the water and they swim like mermaids. It's kind of close to what you're describing, but their whole lives are spent in the water. They don't come out of it at all. And when I hear people talking about past lives as mermaids, my brain goes right there. It's like, okay,
Nice.
I think I know what you're talking about.
But guess what, Dolly? When I spoke to her, it goes like, no, it was in Earth. Really.
Earth, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And he said they still existing, but they hide away because they're highly psychic, and they can sense us for miles. So they're always away. So
wow.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring up a question from chat, which you could probably answer pretty easily because you did this. This is from Christopher Harmon. And I like to, bring all the questions. No question is off limits. I hope that you guys can keep it on topic. But Christopher Harmon is asking, if someone wants to become a certified hypnotherapist, where should he or she study or go?
Well, there's many types of hypnosis, and the one I studied was from Dolores Cannon Academy.
Yeah.
So if you want to go into this technique, yes, you have to go there. But otherwise, there's many, like, clinical hypnosis. There's many of different authors they throw out there, and then they have their own courses and all that. But like I said, I was searching before when I decided to do Dolores, because that book for me was very special. I was like, but then when I discovered the power of ourselves, the higher self that you contact with, I was, my mind was blown away, and I said, this is it.
Wow. I have a really good friend. Her name is Yvonne Watson, and she's been with me when my craft came down and seen it. And we've been on CE5s together through the years. And she did Dolores Cannon. She just got certified, and she's doing her 25.
That's the first level. Yes.
Yes. And she's going to, I have an issue, and she's going to try to help me with it when she comes back through. And I'm excited about it. I'm like, oh my God.
Let us know. Let it go.
All right, I'm going to bring up another question, which is perhaps not too specific, but this is from Santana Barish. She says, I've been having a hard time with my visions. Any tips?
Learn to self-meditation. Simple as that. And practice for weeks, make a pattern. Same time, same place. Make a pattern yourself. And once you start getting to tapping into inner peace, remember, because if you look for in YouTube, there's, oh my God, there's many of them now. There are hundreds of them, with different intentions. Basically, meditation is to tap into your inner peace. where the mind doesn't think about not in the past, neither in the future, the following future, and all your duties and responsibilities. No, just focus on yourself, and you go into your inner peace.
Right.
That's
And
it.
turn off all distractions around you.
Yes.
In other words, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your
Yes.
phone, get rid of all electronic devices, move them away, turn them off, because that energy can interfere with you.
Yes. Yeah. And even we recommend people to do grounding, like go spend
Exactly.
time
Out
in
in
nature,
Absolutely.
in gardens,
Right.
with naked feet, just touch the grass, go
Yep.
to the beach, with no cell phones, just at least half hour, enjoy the sunset, the
Right.
sunrise.
Now, another thing I would recommend, just personally, because this is kind of related to the UFO field, is write it down. Write it down in detail, because as you do that, things will come clear. You'll start to make associations with it. You might recall new details. It might
Yes.
lead to the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
And you might
You'll get
actually
a
hear a
sudden
very clear
intuition about it.
message. Right. You'll hear a clear message from your your consciousness
Yes.
straight into your physical mind. You'll be reading through it, and all of a sudden you go, "Oh my God, I see it! I see it! I see it! There it is!" And it'll trigger you.
Yes, Preston, that's part of my protocol too. Because once I given this recording for self meditation, I always tell them, write down if you have any visions, or nighttime when you wake up, write it down. It could be a vivid dream. We never know. And guess what? Yes, every time I have a client, they go, "Oh, I had this." I'll just write it down. And when the time comes for the hypnosis, we ask higher self what exactly it was. And it's amazing, like you said, sometimes they happen in past lives. Sometimes there's a higher self message too. We don't know. It could be anything.
Right.
Well, there's a bunch more questions in chat, and I have a bunch of questions myself, but we do want to take a very brief station break and let everyone know that you are watching The Light Gate. I'm Preston Dennett. My lovely co-host is Dolly Saffron in that direction. And our guest is the wonderful Martin Rivera. You are listening. I mean, we're streaming on several platforms, including United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We're streaming on 107.7 and 105.3 PM in the beautiful state. I always say that, beautiful city of New Orleans. And yeah, on several other platforms as well. So thank you all. We're on our second hour now, and I'm loving all the questions from chat. And I've got several more of my own, Martin. These questions are coming in fast, so I want to try and keep up, because the show starts to move in different directions, and
I know, right?
The question becomes a little irrelevant. So I want to bring this one up because I think it's important. People are talking about DMT, which is a drug people are using to sort of, I don't know if the word artificially induce is the best way of putting this, but that's kind of how I look at it. I personally don't recommend it. I think you can have that kind of experience without DMT, and hypnosis might just be the way to do that. So would you comment on Gray Troll's question? Can Mr. Rivera induce a DMT-like experience with hypnosis?
Yes, of course. That's why I had these workshops, like the pineal gland activation and all that is my protocol too for people too. I'm having, coming here, and I have this device that it's a light frequency, and it blinkers and it had different patterns and all that, and the sounds and all that. It's really your brain have all that chemistry. The pineal gland, that's what, when it activates, has these crystals, and people see colors, geometrical patterns. And then that's when they're having this astral body, or there's these downloads. It's all kinds of stuff that people experience. But then when I have it, once more again, when I have it for hypnosis, we ask all this experience through higher self exactly. Because remember, I don't channel. I'm not. I don't do readings. None of that. People, discover their own truth through hypnosis.
Yeah, I would like to add to that for 1 second. A drug that you physically take, takes control of your physical mind, and you're no longer in control of yourself.
Exactly, yes.
And you want to be in control of yourself. It's your experiences, your mind, your higher self.
Yes.
And you don't want a drug taking your physical mind out of this, giving you no control over it at all. You want to be in control. That's why what Martin does is very important because he's helping you take yourself through this without
Yes.
aid, and it's better for you.
Thank you, Ali. You did it.
Well, that brings up the next question from one of our listeners, which is Donna's happy hour. And this is a great question because I was wondering about this myself. And Donna's happy hour asks, question for Martin. Have you had patients that get so freaked out they get mad at you?
Zero. Even they had the most crazy or like non logical experience on this technique, either past life, future life, ET life. No, because everything makes sense for them. Remember, some of my colleagues, they are able to publish their session in YouTube, and you could hear all kind of like crazy stuff, that just like I mentioned, being like a mermaid and all that. But guess what? For us, for a third person who hear these recordings or these stories, it might sound crazy. But guess what? For them, it doesn't.
There's no fear involved. If you're out of control, fear is something. If you don't understand what's happening to you,
Exactly.
A fear response. But if
Yes.
you're in control of yourself and you're in a good space, and
Yes.
somebody is walking you through it and is positive with you, the experience is it shines a great big light on everything that you're trying to understand. And in the light, there is no fear, none.
Exactly. And this technique, for us is the most optimum way is that you go into the somnambulistic state, which is kind of like a trance you're not aware of. I had clients that go into that deep state, and when I wake them up, they're always asking, how long you think the session, lasts?
Yeah.
And they go like, 15, 20 minutes. And I show the recording 3 hours, 2 hours and a half.
Wow. Well, that goes to show that time is not what we think it is.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I have no one, because when they come for a session, they already practice meditation for 9, 12 weeks before doing the hypnosis. So they're ready.
Well, I will say I did interview a guy who went to a hypnotist because he had insomnia and a fear of intruders and all this stuff. His mom had actually gone to quit smoking.
Right.
And he recalled an ET experience that completely blindsided him. He was not expecting it. And he woke up and he was mad. And he started shouting her, you put this in my head. And she said, no, I didn't. Listen to the tape. This is recorded. You had this experience. Your mom had the same one. She was there with him. And he started crying. He profusely apologized. He's like, I'm really sorry. It was just a lot. And it helped heal him quite a bit.
Right.
It started actually it opened the door to bring more memories. So is that something that you see when someone has a session? It starts, the session will bring in so many memories, but then afterwards, does more come following it sort of naturally? You know what I mean?
What, some of them are really crying during the session, but they're under hypnosis, really. But they understand that part of themselves. Why, remember this kind of technique, it's focused on to the healing.
Right.
So exactly what higher self will show you, no less, no more, what you need at this time.
Now I have a real in-depth question for you. Okay.
Oh.
When you're dealing with somebody, we all know that emotional pain stops people dead in their tracks.
Mm-hmm.
They'll climb up faster from emotional pain before they will from physical pain. And they'll drag emotional pain lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And what people don't think of sometimes, or they don't realize, is that emotional pain can stop you from moving forward, but you have to go through it to understand it. And how do you deal with that?
That's a great question. Like I said, remember, every client that I had, they go to this preparation of self-meditation for weeks, right? So they come now with the sense of coming for having a nap. That's it. Yeah. And they hand me this list of questions, and that's my job. Once they experience their, whether past life where higher self show them, then we call the higher self. And then that's how they start, having this healing. And we have this conversation with higher self, and going over, okay, per se, I had a client where they have fibromyalgia, right? Yeah. And they go, okay, why did she experience this, this issue? And he goes, we literally explains the cause of it, control issues. And then, of course, it was relating to the past life that was showing to the client, where the origin that came from,
Yeah.
and that carries into this life, you know.
Yeah.
But then when the client is that, you know, he's like, some of them they shake a lot because that's when we, you know, it's
Yeah,
funny
it's a shock. Yeah.
because we ask like, what is going on? And the higher said was, oh, we just putting more light into the body. And well, I go like, why? Because we shaking their cell memory away, fears, control, and all that trauma that has been in the body.
Right.
And it goes, he's like, you know, shaking, you know, jolting and all that. Some of them, not all of them, but some cases they do, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it goes like that. So actually, they, you know, they are in the per se in the hands of source.
Right.
So what could be wrong with that? Nothing.
I have a small opinion about that. I'm glad you said it like that, and I know you know what you're talking about now because you understand. I know you understand. Okay, when you're leaving your body to OBE, you receive or you feel a vibration that can feel like an electrical shock. Sometimes it's a great big shake, boom, you know, and it's. And I thought about that for an entire lifetime. I thought, what is that? You know, am I got the electricity in my body doing it to me, or is it my consciousness doing it to me as it leaves my body? Am I feeling my consciousness energy? I mean, I was like all twisted up trying to figure it out. And I came to a conclusion. Your consciousness is all light and it's all energy.
Yes.
And as soon as your consciousness becomes connected to your physical mind, to your physical body, and everything, that's where the light's coming from. It's coming from you.
Yes.
And that energy you feel, that electrical current is coming from you. And it's amazing to me that you put it like that because you're describing it exactly. Your consciousness, your physical your conscious being is affecting your physical body to heal it.
Yes.
It actually has been given the opportunity to get in there and do it because we block it all the time.
It is this belief system blocks it.
Right.
All the trauma, all whatever you think of life is you creating it unconsciously.
Exactly. This is so totally cool. Thank you. You need to write a book. I swear. You just need to sit and tell everybody this is how it works. You should give it a shot, do all the reading, and start meditating. I mean, that's fantastic.
So how many people have you worked with? Just a ballpark figure.
You know, I have a young career. I've been doing 8 years so far.
Ooh,
and I consider the ones I really love, like very successful, is less than 100, really, you know. But they had very, very profound healing and experiences like way top, you know, top of the head, you know. Like I said, sometimes they show them future lifetimes. Sometimes the ET life, you know. Sometimes the lives that you couldn't even understand, life as a rock under the ocean.
Interesting.
And there was a reason for it. Why did they experience that?
So Penny Rummel is asking, where does Martin have his practice? So can people reach out to you then? And because we have some of your links in the show notes, which we'll post. Of course.
I forgot to put the link on my own. I was in a hurry. Like, okay, let's go. Like Quantum Balance, that center, and it's bilingual. Remember, it's a Spanish version and an English version too. And I'm based on Long Island, New York.
Oh, all right, Long Island, New York. Very cool.
Awesome.
Yes, and even people who experience per se one, I had like she was experiencing being a lava.
Wow.
In a volcano, she was part of the lava, and there was a reason why. And how you say explain why was the reason. So it's those sort of things that people can experience into this technique.
Your consciousness can go anywhere and do anything. You don't need to be born. You just are. If you want to go lay in a volcano and lay in a lava pit and feel the lava and be consciously in it, you can do that. That's real. You can experience anything anywhere. You can go interdimensional and you can experience it from different dimensions as well. I mean, your consciousness is free to go. It is endless what you're capable of doing.
Even timelines or parallel lives too. Some stuff.
Yeah.
So you've had people go under and remember past lives way, way, way back to prior, what we would call, like Atlantis or Lemuria, right? I think you mentioned some of that.
This is one of, it's not my session really, but as far as I know, it's from my colleague. And the client even wrote 2 books about it. Listen to this. This is mind blowing because she was remembering being in Lemuria, right? And the time where the destruction of Atlantis between the two of them, Lemuria and Atlantis. But then when they go back to see where is the origin of these civilizations, she was experiencing being an ET coming to Earth,
Oh, wow.
crashing on Earth.
Yeah.
And in order to survive, they start to, interbreeding and having, through like vitro, taking cells from the natives of the planet for them to survive. That's how Lemuria and Atlantis was, founded, really. So she wrote 2 books about, and even she got healed from a head tumor.
Wow.
And she's
That's
a teacher
amazing.
journalist too. So think about that. So if you allow me, I can show, her books, and here's her books. So
Oh,
the Child of the
wow.
Universe is the first one, and the second one is the Gift of the Stars.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most detailed accounts of past life that I ever encountered.
So these are a couple of the books that you actually translated, huh?
I'm translating the second one. Someone else translated the first one, but she asked me to do the second one.
Oh,
And there's a
wow.
whole lot detail about this, program and these beings coming from another star system. And amazing. They described
Amazing.
Atlantis at the end, why it was destructed, the whole thing, it was like, and even how the survivors, what happened to them.
Wow.
It's mind blowing, really. So yeah, so
Okay.
that would
Very
be great
cool.
for you to have her in your show,
Well, our chat is loving you. Santana Barish says, amazing guest tonight.
Thank you, guys.
It's very cool. So I want to hear something else before it gets, because time is flying fast. Like
Yeah,
that.
you gotta go over to the other experience.
But I want to hear about Sisto Paswells,
Ah,
because I am a huge fan.
do you?
I've never met him,
Uh-huh.
but I know he was one of the figures who spearheaded sort of
Yes.
CE5 movements, which
Right.
is very popular now, but he was doing it years ago. And I wrote about him in one of my books, The Healing Power of UFOs, because there was a case where he was there in Sebago Cabins, New York, held a session where they walked through I forget what it was called.
Sendra. They call it Sendra. Like portal.
Where they did all the meditations and stuff that you're talking about, very much like. But there was a dancer there who was suffering from arthritis of the legs. His legs were all swollen up, and he couldn't dance anymore.
Wow.
Which was his life path. And had an encounter that night. I mean, UFOs came down. The people in the community around saw them as well. So they were just innocent bystanders, while the actual group had an amazing encounter. And he was healed, physically healed. And I looked him up, and wow. I mean, Mission Rama, I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, Mission Rama is the group. Yeah, yes, those are the ones. Yes.
Yeah, so you met him, right? Or
yes, yeah, I met him. I've been with him in these pre-scheduled encounters twice.
I want to hear about that, Martin.
Yes.
Tell me everything.
I'll send you the picture. Would you like to, display the pictures that I sent it to you? Are you able or not?
Yeah. Oh, is that the one without the large group of people?
Yes, with the ones standing up doing mantras in the stone.
Okay,
there's like a monolith. Yeah,
I'll pull that up. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, just while I'm speaking about this, yes, actually I discovered this Sixto Paz in the mid-90s. And yeah, Sixto Paswells. He's a contactee from Peru. As a matter of fact, his mother, he's from the U.S. And guess what? He was banned to come into the U.S. for over 20-something years. She was able to come back to the U.S. in 2014, 15, something like that. See, this is the there's like a 3-day retreat, or it's like camping in the woods. But this is a special place in New Jersey where there's like these monoliths. They're like probably
we know about those. Yep.
And there was the Native Americans considered sacred.
I'll bring the monolith up. Keep talking. I have that one.
Yes. So that was the first time we were over 50 people, and then, before you come to this, these experiences, they require you for you to take a whole year of classes. Like they have 24 classes, and the coordinators from each group, either there's each coordinator from every state, as far as I know, in the metropolitan area of Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, there's like small groups, So for you to be in these encounters, you must take these classes. Otherwise, they not allow it. You know why? Because they're right. People sometimes want to come over for out of curiosity, and they have this fear kicking out, and disrupt the whole,
Yeah.
the
Well,
whole.
it's ET's absolute message to everybody. You know what it is we need to open ourselves up and wake up and to have communication with them. And we can't do that until we do the work first. We have to
Exactly.
work ourselves and
Yes.
then and make ourselves ready. And then they're wide open to us,
Yes.
instantly wide open. And so they want you to come to these CE5s ready. They want
Yes.
you to start being psychic. They want you to start meditating.
Yes.
They want you to understand what's going to
Yes.
happen to you, because there will be an experience. It's personal. They are that personal with everybody. And that's why. And you
Yes.
can't say it enough times. It's important. It's important work to do for
Wow.
yourself.
Thank you, Dolly. You exactly, hit the nail exactly like that. So that's why they introduce you like 24 classes. They teach you how to meditate, and all that for you to be ready.
Yep.
So we were like a group of 50 people. That was in July in the summer, and then this group of ETs, they told Sixto Pass to be at that time at that place. And then we start doing mantras, and meditation, and it's like it goes like that really. These 3 days, and even fasting, you're
Oh
not
my
allowed
goodness.
to eat
Oh, that's beautiful.
water,
Yeah.
So you have to raise your vibration really. And here is there's a picture at nighttime and all that, so that was beautiful. But then, like you said, Preston, there was a time we had 2 occasions. That was like the first one was like Saturday night, because we were in there in Friday from 5 p.m. till Sunday afternoon. So the good stuff started in Saturday night, right? Thank you. And then it started raining. And remember, this
Oh, yeah.
place, there's like a path you're going up the hill, and you can see this monolith that you guys saw, and there's another one before that. But the way we camp, you can see either if there's people going to this path, because it's all forest, it's like the woods, and there's no way to access to just to that path. And I explored it. It went all the way that the path ended, and it's like woods. It's like 2-3 miles just woods. There's no connection. You have to go through this. Yes, that's another picture. And then and I remember at nighttime was start raining, and they have us making these like mantras, and doing like concentric circles, all of us. But then, we were like he told us to be 7 of us every 10 minutes, like in the main circle, 7 of us like facing outwards really. So you don't see, you're not even touching each other's shoulders. You're like 2-3 feet away apart, from each other. So I remember it was raining really, and it's pitch black. We weren't allowed to use cell phones, nothing. You concentrating there, right? So anyway, I was like, standing there, and then you just, close your eyes, and he tells you to extend your palms like this upwards, right? And you could hear Sixto Paswells, like was walking around ourselves in clockwise, and you could hear his steps, because crunching the leaves and all that. And as soon as I heard them, getting away from me, I heard someone else walking. But then I felt this magnetic field around my body, like static. So
Wow.
I kind of like got curious. I opened my eyes. There was nobody.
Right.
And then I saw my hands. I saw my hands white, like slightly white grayish. And I was like, I pulled my sweatshirt like this and was, oh my God, you're white. So I was like, okay. So I go with it. I closed my eyes, and then Sixto Paz came around again, and he told me something. He put my hands in my chest, and he goes like, you receive these crystals with honor and love and protection, and another word that he said. And that was it. And someone came over. He goes like, every time we do this, like, people like hug you and go like, oh, cheers you up. Then a girl came in. He goes like, oh my God, I saw these crystal pyramids on your hands. Did you saw them? I'm like, I didn't see nothing.
Oh, wow.
But my hands were white, So that was the first one. The following day, that was the most incredible thing because he told us to be ready at 7 a.m. So we woke up, right? And sure enough, the place was crystal clear, nothing. We start meditating 10 minutes. We open our eyes and this thick fog just came over us. And probably like 45, 50 feet away from us, there was like this dense fog, just kind of like a line dance, and goes like, that's the Shendra, that's the portal. So he told us to walk right through, like seven of us, each one of us, a group of sevens. We go there, we stand there for like 10 minutes, being your inner peace and experiencing whatever. And guess what? I saw this again. I saw this like the universe. I saw like pitch black first, then that white that came in, coming to me and becoming growing bigger, bigger. The size of my hand. It was like a galaxy, like spiral galaxy. And then somehow I saw it like I felt like someone pulled me to my right, and the galaxy is open on the upper left corner. But I still see these bright colors, like beautiful. And then 7 seconds again, someone pulled me to my left, and now it's in the upper right corner, right? And then 7 seconds again, goes back to the same position. But then I saw the center of the galaxy, like this, like a dome, beautiful, like it's, and it started like, having my heartbeat coordinated with that. And I started feeling emotional, and then it just kind of like collapsed, and it goes into the bright white, like a star, very bright white, And then somehow I started looking myself like, getting away from it, and I start seeing these planets, right? And I see Jupiter, now it's the size of Jupiter, with
Right.
4 dots, probably the moons, and it was like halfway lighted and the other halfway dark. Then a voice came through, and he goes, "We're gonna have our meeting soon. Be patient." I wasn't a strong voice. It wasn't my voice. It was someone else in my mind. And after that, everything just went blacked out. I opened my eyes, and that was it.
Well,
That's when I had my introduction to them. A year later, that's when I had my sister's session. That's how he came through the session. So
Amazing. Well, I have a picture of him actually. Here is Sisto
yes.
himself. And it's funny because I had a fix-it guy who would come over and do remodeling on my house. He found out I was a UFO researcher, and he started talking about his experience. He's like, was with this guy named Sisto Paswells. Have you heard of him? I'm like, yeah. And he described how he did everything you're describing. And there was a big group, and suddenly, I forget exactly what happened, but he had a weird shift, and suddenly there were different people sitting next to him. They had missing time.
Oh yeah, this all kind of stuff happens there. Everyone's different. Yeah, I heard some stories from all the people who were there. Yes, they had different. Some of them were tapping into a past life. Some of the people were in another place. They don't know what, or don't know what it was. That's why. And then I use the hypnosis to exactly ask yourself what exactly happened.
Amazing. Well, I have another question from chat, which is really unusual, and I actually really like it. And this is from C. It says, "Can we be a Bigfoot in another life?"
Yes,
Seriously.
yes. And anything you can ever think of: fairies, gnomes, mermaids, Bigfoot, and any other living being that you might think of or imagine, and even the ones you didn't even think about. Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Just like Dolly said, we're consciousness. We experience all that.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, a lot of the people in chat are talking about their past lives. Here's Debbie talking about how she was in a life from pilgrim times and was a pregnant teen and was stoned to death. Oh, there you go. People remember the sort of stuff that they need
Yes.
to heal through.
Yes, exactly.
So I think that's a good example.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So some people who come to you, though, they just come because they've had missing time and want to go explore.
The majority of people, Preston, they come for either emotional, physical, or mind patterns that they know that everything's go wrong, and they start realizing that something's wrong with them. That's how they come. But then sometimes it pops, even even homosexuality. That's another book that I'm be planning about, because there's even ET lives relating to, sexual tendencies.
Yeah.
Very
You know
interesting.
what? I'm going to tell. Okay, you brought it up. Okay. ET, you got to realize I was raised with them. Okay, they don't call it homosexuality. They just love everybody, and it doesn't matter to them whether you're male or female. You love who you love, and their entire existence in society is that. There is no difference between anybody, and you love who you love, and it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. They just love who you love. It's not a big deal. They don't separate themselves because of it. You're not hurt about it. Nothing. You love who you love. And when you take that kind of pressure off a human being or any entity conscious, because our consciousness is both male and female.
Yes.
We live dual lives constantly. We're either male or female. And love is the whole basis for the whole thing.
Right.
You love who you love.
Yes. And what I'm going to tell you just one thing before we move over. At least we found so far 6 different reasons why people experience all these sexual tendencies. But that will take us to another show, really.
Well, we might just have to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot to share, but I just wanted to bring up this comment because I think it speaks to what we're talking about, which is from Santana Barish. Like, we could have been anything, even a dolphin, which Dolores talks about in her books too. I love that because, people are like, I'd love to see an extraterrestrial. Well, you should go meet the dolphins. I went and saw dolphins and got to talk to them. Yeah, and it was a really spiritual, transformative experience just meeting with them because,
of course,
I had not expected them to be that. I don't know. A loving energy coming right from them.
Yes, even they have a frequency. They emitting a healing frequency, even for people who suffering some kind of condition, a mental condition, anything. Yes, in QHT session, how I shall explain. Go to the dolphins, go to even horses.
All right. Well, here is another question from C, and I think this is a good one. How do we know it's not imagination? And I would just kind of counter that is, have you been able to ever get proof? Because there are many cases of people who've recovered past lives under hypnosis and go to the gravesite like, oh my gosh, there I am. So is there any indication? I mean, yes. I know when it's just the emotions of it are so genuine.
Of course, like I said, when we go over to higher self, that's almost 100%. I can say 100, but over 90%. Don't remember when higher self come through and start explaining about this conversation and explain about everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even ask other people's, information, issues that are, they're looking for me because they can't do it, in person, or friends that I have, whatever, they have paranormal events. I ask higher self, and when they hear the recording, they go, how do I know this? I don't even know this. So their doubt and their skeptical mind goes away, it goes out of the window, like, oh my God, it was real. And of course, higher self explained it in detail. Why did you experience that part or whatever past life or anything that happened during the session?
Wow.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm bringing up another question, Dahlia. If you have another one first. But here, let's just go with this from Doxy. It says, Martin, have you found statistics on male to female ability to connect with past lives?
Yes, well, that's my own research. I know there's probably, like, I don't know if it's documented or not, but based on my own experience and my colleagues too, there's even, I could say even there's like 70% of people comes for a session as females. And they are more connected, more easy to connect. Why? Because remember, males or men are more into the control and analytical minds that are engaged to.
Yeah.
And women are more connected into
empathy is a woman's calling card. Right. Female calling card is empathy, pure and simple. They're empathetic from birth.
Yes.
And
exactly.
Males have to learn that a little bit, That might be what your life is about. That's you're learning empathy. So whatever life you're living, whatever sex you're coming in as, that's the lesson that you learn. You either learn the females lesson or the males. Take your pick. And
yes, and thank you, Dali. And that's one of our purpose for everyone, to balance that female and male energy, really.
Well,
Exactly.
speaking to that, in my UFO research, it's evenly divided between men and women in terms of who's taken on board. But
Uh-huh.
my ghost research shocked me because the majority of people who saw ghosts were women and children. I have some men, don't get me wrong.
Right, right.
It was our
Wow.
towards
But it has to do with
women.
being female again. When you're pregnant, you link psychically with your child, and you're already practicing being psychic with your child. Most women will tell you that they're having conversations with their baby and they can almost hear them, and
Exactly. Yes.
that's how that comes
There
to
you go.
fruition in their lives. And
Yes.
children are just psychic; they don't know not to be. So
Exactly.
I have
Yes.
a million questions in chat, Dolly. Unless you have one, I'm going to bring another one up.
okay,
Okay, here we go. Here's a good one because this is something I think which would help us all. And this is from Santana Barish, who says, "What can we do to help open our third eye so we can connect with our highest selves?" Well, go to Martin. This is what he does.
yes,
Self-meditation too, like everything that we mentioned before, Dolly and Preston. Yes, all that helps. Meditation, grounding, the dreams, following intuition. But yeah, most of all, practice what I always recommend, go and tap into your inner self. I mean, your inner peace.
and,
Once
and
you have that inner peace, yes, it goes. The information can flow more efficient or more visuals. And
but
you
don't forget, your body is a temple. And you
yes,
have to bring to it clean things. In other words, clean water, clean air,
yes,
clean food,
yes.
nothing to pollute it and nothing to
Okay.
become toxic from. Then those two things, that's we're talking about balance again. Both of them, you balance the two together and you'll open up, no problem. So learn that.
Yes, yeah, organic stuff,
Yeah,
toxic free, and no drugs and minimal, whatever, but
yeah,
no chemicals really.
right.
That helps a lot.
Yep.
All right. So here's another question, which is about people who recall past lives as an ET. And I was curious about this. Has anyone like identified what race or where they're from? Because Deborah Holcomb is asking, have you had clients who have experienced Andromeda or are from there?
No, even for Andromeda and other places that sometimes they don't even have names. It's only frequency. I have a client where experience, these small beings, like kind of like, look like grays really, but they're not, and they have this luminous body. And then I ask him, where are you guys from? He goes like, our home is the cosmos, you know. And is there any place where you from? He goes, there's no name for it.
Right.
So,
Those are actual light beings. They're real. They
yes.
exist.
And
I
then
know
and,
this.
then, and I go, well, I always ask, well, could you please give us something so for our human mind to comprehend? And he goes, well, it's a frequency, but you might pronounce it like Ishti. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. But yeah, sometimes they don't handle names in that density.
right.
Even in the third
Yes.
year of us, yes, we always want to have names and profiling and all that. But some of these beings, no, they don't require that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring up another question because this is fun. Keep the questions coming, guys, because this is interesting. And this is one from Doxy. And I like this question. I have my own answers to this one, but I'll let you dive in, Martin. And Doxy asks, Martin, you mentioned the experience of downloads, etc., download experiences, etc. What if this happens normally without hypnosis?
Yes.
What
Yes.
if it's something that has been daily since childhood?
Okay. Very example. See this back here? That's a geometrical pattern. Guess what? It's a key for a download or something for your mind, and it to open, part of yourself or your DNA, the information coming from the central sun of the galaxy.
Right.
All right, and it goes into yourself. It's like, I'm gonna give this analogy. People who work in computers, like computer programmers. Have you guys seen the movie The Matrix, where all these numbers falls and
Yeah.
nonsense?
Yeah.
That's kind of like that, really. It
Yeah.
opens you up at certain abilities, or just to adjust your frequency, because the Earth is changing its own frequency.
I want to add something to this. If you're downloaded daily, Whatever download you get a day, write it down. Write down your experience, write the whole thing down. And then your job is this, because you get downloads to teach you. You have to verify what it is. You have to experience it. And that means you need to do homework. You need to dig it up. You need to understand it. Go with it. You'll get it. Promise you, because you've just been pre-programmed to receive this information. So you start reading into that genre or that thing, or you start talking to people about it until you own what that download was, and then you employ it. You use that information to do something good. I'm telling you, it works every time. Write it down, write it down, write it down, and experience it. Work it.
Yes. As a matter of fact, about Preston and Dolly, I had a client last Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of her questions was like, just few days ago, I guess last week, when we had the Schumann resonance, was like crazy, 120, 180, remember?
Yeah.
She had no idea about this. And she goes like, you know what, it was last week. I felt like all week. I was like, I was fading, and she felt really bad. She thought I was sick or whatever. We got to the higher self. What exactly happened? Oh, it was an adjustment on her body from the frequencies.
Well, I want to comment on Doxy's question too. What I would do if you're having daily downloads is do your happy dance. Are you kidding? This is awesome. That means you are in connection with your higher self. And I think all of us truly are.
Yes.
But it's just a matter of waking up to it and connecting to it. We are all an integral part of this universe. But to be connected in a way where you're recognizing this, because I've had a few downloads and some are like, oh my gosh, this never happened to me before. But now I'm becoming more aware that this is a natural.
Yes, it's natural. Yes. And most of us don't even realize what it is, It's unconsciously, really. You're not in control, really.
Well, you can be, though. I'm going to go one step further with that.
Well, just like Preston, yes.
You can literally ask for clarification. In other words, if you're being downloaded, that means somewhere along the way you asked the question and now you're getting the answer.
Yes,
Go back and ask for clarification. In other words, teach me what you just said. I need to know the rest of the story, and it'll give it to you. It will.
Yes. Well, when you become conscious, yes, that's another story, really. For people like both of you, that they had already practiced and whole history about waking up about this, But most of the people, they don't even know anything about this,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Something's niggling them.
All right. I have a real zinger of a question from Izzy Beth, which I love. I didn't even think of this one. And Izzy Beth asks, Dr. Rivera, do you have clients who have never incarnated on Earth before?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And first of all, I'm not a doctor, please. I'm just a therapist, a humble therapist, but with a whole, curiosity and endeavor to do this and healing. Yes. As a matter of fact, I had 2 clients already. And not even those clients, even other people that I know, it was revealed through sessions that their sons or these children, they had never incarnated in Earth before. This is their first incarnation. That's how I was resonating with this information that Dolores, call it the 3 waves of volunteers on the new Earth, because it speaks about these new souls, because that's the plan from the councils, aiding Earth and the civilization in order for us to move forward into this other new place, this new dimension that we, struggling to go with, And of course, they saw that, well, when human beings discovered the atomic bomb, and we had this nonsense, almost 3,000 atomic blast tests around the world. Guess what? It not only destroyed our ecosystem and environments, it affected other worlds, because everything is connected through portals, for this, it's like a body, really, our universe. So some of these civilizations were affected. As a matter of fact, there's a session where one of these beings, he described their world got blown out because the radiation from the atomic blasts went through, and their planet was so sensitive they had no time to contain it. They had to build motherships in order to evacuate the planet.
Yeah.
Well, I find this fascinating, because that is a very common message given to contactees. And Dolly, you told me that very detailed.
Yeah, they literally, they see the past, the present, and the future.
Yes.
Sometimes they see the warnings of us doing stupid, and they will move huge bodies of people out of the area, because all the dimensions are together in one place. Okay, we're in the same place,
Right.
and they moved them out of the way because they knew it was coming. And I mean, it's a big deal. That's why ET wants us to stop using nuclear bombs. Anything nuclear, they want us to stop. Period. Stop, because we're affecting everything.
Yes.
And it's horrific to them. It's absolutely horrific, and they can make us stop. It's up to us to stop ourselves. And it's bad. And so they will move people out of the way. They will dimensionally move people out of the way. They will.
Yeah, and of course, and they explain us too, even because they say they cannot intervene directly, because that's one of the principles. But indirectly, in all different ways, yes. That's why they had this plan of these new waves of volunteers to come to, first of all, heal Earth. That was one of the messages that was through my sister, really, where these so-called Earth Guardians came through and give us a lot of these messages. And remember, well, people would say, it's your sister. Guess what? My sister was like a Jehovah's Witnesses for over 20 years. And think about just his belief system was so, narrow to the religion. And then having this session, hypnosis session, and even these guardians presenting themselves and displaying all these, these messages through her, and even speaking through her.
Yeah, you just said something about 3 or 4 sentences back, which sort of resonated with me, because this is something a lot of experiencers have told me, that the ETs told them. We can't intervene directly. You have to solve your own problems. We can only teach, guide, heal, help, wake you up. But it's up to you.
I want to say this. It's important because it's up. When I was young and I was being taught by ET, if I did something totally stupid or I was about to make a huge mistake, they went dead silent on me. They stopped talking. And it was obvious. Nobody had anything to say to me. And they left me to myself to figure out why they were backing off. And I finally learned the rule to that. And that is question my motives, question what I was doing, figure out why this is unacceptable behavior, or what could I do to make it better, resolve it, make amends, anything to bring a resolution for myself to this. They're not doing it for me. I had to do it for myself. This is how they feel about us. And we are their children. We're all related. Okay. And they know that we created these problems for ourselves, and it is not up to them to solve them. It's up to us. We have to do that. We do.
So, and in this plan, they're trying to give us a little push on indirectly, really, new waves, because one of the message was like their energy, they had no karma. Another message, they were saying that we have a symbiotic relationship with the planet Earth. So every emotion that we carry, even through unresolved issues through past lives, all these wars, all these conflicts, affects the planet.
Yeah, it affects everything on the planet. It affects every one of us. We're, I want to bring this up.
We have more questions, so we want to get through them. So
all right.
Go ahead. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. I want to bring this up. This is important information, and I've been sitting on it for a while, and you've just given me an open. Okay. Vibration. Vibration is the result of something that has energy that has already occurred. The energy creates the vibration. If you ring a bell, there's a vibration from it, a sound.
Yes.
Okay? We are causing vibrational qualities to each other.
Yes.
The planet is like a crystal. It absorbs that energy. Okay. The planet's not exactly alive, but it absorbs the vibrations that we send to it mentally. We can affect anything in this universe mentally. And we're a huge group of people on this planet, and we are affecting it. And it's a rebound. Just like we're in circuit with our sun, we're in circuit with this earth. And whatever we send into it, it'll bounce right back out at us.
Exactly.
It's us doing it to ourselves. And I wish people would learn that lesson and understand that this is how it operates. This is how energy works. And if you're going to put a bunch of negative energy, you're going to get negative back. For every action, there is an equal or opposite reaction.
Principle cause effect.
We all have to understand that. When you hold the crystal, you're not receiving messages from anybody else. you're taking your energy, you're putting it into the crystal, and now you can feel that energy and read it to yourself. You can feel and see your own quality, your own mind in that crystal. And then somebody else can hold it for a few minutes and actually read you from that crystal.
Yes, that could happen too.
That's how we communicate to one another. And that's how we send it to the earth, and the earth sends it back, you know? And we got to stop it. We have to stop affecting everything in a negative way.
Yes, yes. And to add a little more what you said, there's even people who experience being a crystal.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Even a star.
I've got a bunch of questions, and we have not even 15 minutes left. So
oh my God, it went so quick.
So this is a pretty simple one, I hope. Brad Peanut says, how does one find a good, trusting hypnotherapist? Well, maybe not simple, but what would you say?
Remember, every time that you contact someone, you have to feel their energy. You have to trust. You have to follow your intuition. You feel trusted or not. You know, that's very simple. When you start speaking and looking at their eyes, you can feel their vibration, like Dolly says. You know, so I will recommend that. I always, when I have a client, we have a free pre-interview, and I always require to go Zoom to Zoom so they can see me, feel me. We speak through for an hour, whatever, and there you go.
Use your intuition. I think it's that simple. Yeah.
Yes.
Do your research.
Yeah.
Talk to other people who've gone through the experience. Okay, well, here's another. There are some good questions coming up. Here's one from Santana Barish. Question: is there a certain frequency we could listen to whilst meditating to connect with your higher self?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
That's why I use, this crystal singing bowls. They're like, very.
I just heard it. Yeah.
For other people, like Dolly said, it's just silence. It's good for them. But I had clients that were like, oh, you know what? I can't clear my thoughts. When I hear the sounds, of the crystals, they focus onto it. They even tell me, I don't hear the sounds anymore, neither my voice. So you have to find yourself, which one is more suitable for you.
Right. I can give you a hint about when you know you're clear. If you can imagine yourself in a dark room with no sound, no vibration, no anything, and it's like your mind becomes a blank chalkboard. Nothing's written upon it anymore. No thoughts, no sounds. You release everything into the dark. Okay. You have now reached alpha. Your brain pattern goes straight into alpha. Yes. The sounds that you use, Martin, teaches your brain how to find alpha, because each one, alpha, beta, theta, gamma, delta, each one of those has a different quality or frequency. And alpha is important for meditation. Absolutely. The most important. And so you start learning to meditate by releasing. It's not, don't hear your own thoughts. Just say, oop, off. Let them go. Turn it all off. Yes. Hold on to nothing. Buddha used to say, let it go.
Yes.
Let it go.
Yes.
You'll get there. You'll get into alpha, and you're there because you're floating in nothingness, and all there is nothingness.
Yes.
That's how you go within, and it's very cool. Then Martin takes over, and he guides you.
Exactly. Just like that. Yes.
Into truth. Okay.
Oh my God, Dolly, I love you.
Don't worry, I love you too.
It's still your stuff. Great.
All right, here is a question which I love because I have heard of this. Debbie Joyce says, question for Martin. Have you ever come across someone that starts speaking another language that is unknown? I've had dreams where the language is musical.
Yeah.
No doubt. Even alien languages, they speak to the session. And I go like, I don't understand you. Can you speak it, please? Either in English, we either have an American, or I have any Spanish client. Can you say it in Spanish, please? And they tell you exactly what it is. It's like an automatically translation, But yes, I had a couple times already. Yes, and they tell you exactly what it was.
Amazing. All right, C has asked this question a couple of times, and I think it's really kind of funny, actually. Well, C asks question, do cryptoids have past lives? I'm going to say, well, yes, we all do, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I would assume. But how do you actually, hypnotize a cryptid? Bring in a Bigfoot. I don't suppose you've had any Bigfoot clients, but I suppose anything could happen.
Anything can happen. Like I said before, that was the example that I said that I had this girl who was experiencing being a fish. She wasn't clear enough, and then actually she actually saw her body being a mermaid, but she only said because she didn't believe in that. That's why she said like a fish. But then when we went to the hypnosis, yes, it was a mermaid. Yes, so anything can happen, really. But I always, and I want to repeat this again. Remember, higher self is the one who explains in detail, not me. And it comes out of client's mouth, right? But it's not your ego. It's a higher self, the source.
Yeah. You also just gave away the way you can tell if a hypnotist is going to be the good one or not. And that's because you're speaking absolute truth. If you can't find a hypnotist who works that way, you're not bringing information in. They are from their own consciousness. And this is truth. And that's how you find a really good hypnotherapist. That's why I like the Dolores Cannon thing,
Yeah, I love that too.
It's awesome. Right.
We're not going to get through all these questions, guys.
Okay.
There's no way. We've got not just over 5 minutes left, but here's a question from C. Can you help a person fix up a messed up life? But before you answer that, I want to say that people who have gone through severe child abuse and suffer from multiple personalities often use hypnosis. And it's really interesting because the hypnotherapists end up contacting what they call an ish, an inner self-helper, who knows everything about that person's life and guides them through all the emotional damage. It's very similar to they're probably contacting the higher self.
Right.
But the simple answer to that would be yes, right?
Yeah. Even I had clients where, I had this other program that is it's more sessions, really. I call it the emotional release therapy. And we go over your issues from this present life. And we teach you, it's like a kind of course in therapy because we teach you this conscious of unity, which you're no longer judging, this black and white, good and bad. No, we start teaching you exactly, how your mind works, how this ego works, all this programming that you absorb, all this narrow belief system that you always responding to, and we teach you that we close these cycles of conflicts that you had consciously, but then I take into hypnosis and I always ask yourself, how much did we, how much percentage we help this person? The lowest that I had, 80%. And I go so what is the other 20%? Because I want to learn more. He goes, no, she has to practice what we teach, what we taught her, whatever we taught her. Okay. So that way, we first, help you through your present life. First of all, you must learn how to go over and learn to see the good, really lesson that you went through life. Not only the victimization and the suffering. No.
Yeah.
You're going to see that part from a higher perspective. But then, that's why I love the hypnosis. It'll show you your soul journey, what is behind all this, and that kind of closes that you're part of yourself. Like just the example that I give about this, this client that I had that was abused, from horrible childhood, and she understood.
Okay, so are you saying that a conflict or what you're trying to do is you're altering or you're starting to see the truth about how you respond versus how you're being told to respond, correct?
Sometimes you go automatically. It's not one that taught you. Yeah. You absorb it and you go automatically, defending yourself all the time, for me, he attacked me, he doesn't like me. No, that's your ego all the time.
Right. Your response is key. Absolutely. In perspective, right?
Exactly. Then we teach you to recognize that first of all on yourself, become an observer of yourself. Okay. It will help you to go through the process of forgiving, understanding, and letting it go.
Yeah.
and see what's but even though there's even traumatic, experiences, there's always something good about it. And people say, if you were raped, or how come you say that? No, there's always a reason. That's why hypnosis will clear all that for you.
Exactly.
Well, this is probably going to be the last question we have time for. And it's a little bit off topic, but the moon and the stars says, why do some people suggest studying the astral plane in depth before trying to do it, while others just state to wing it. I'd say wing it. You're already doing it. That's kind of what, going into hypnosis is like. It's a journey towards the astral planes.
Yes, exactly. In all dimensions and so forth and beyond. There's even more stuff that we haven't, we start discovering these new parts of the universe that we don't even have any idea of.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, the comments that are coming in, Martin, are just really complimentary. They're loving you. You're doing a great job.
Guys. Yeah.
Maybe we can answer one more because we do. Well, gosh, maybe we shouldn't. No, we don't really have time. So I want to give you some time, Martin, to
thank you so much.
Talk about your own, where people can reach you and some of the links and how people can reach out to you. We'll certainly answer questions in chat later if you want to post them again, because this will be in archives. But yeah, tell us where people can reach you and any information you want to share before we have to close this up, because we have 2 minutes now.
Thank you, Preston. People can reach me in, you can see it www.quantumbalance.center. You can find me there. In my social network, you can find me as QHST Martin Rivera in Instagram and Facebook, and even my name, just Martin Rivera, in Facebook. I interact with those most of the time, but you guys can reach me through my website, really.
Yes, and we will also have in our notes your information out there for you.
Thank you so much.
We would like to thank you for coming to the Light Gate, Martin. We want to do this again. There's more to explore with you, so we're going to make another appointment with you. Is that okay?
Oh, that's beautiful. We ended up really short on all this information that I had.
Okay, all right. And so we'd like to thank all our audience and everybody for their questions. Thank you for being here with us. We appreciate you. We love you very much. And please come and see us again here. And we're going to endeavor to keep this all going really, really well for all of us. It's an exploration and we're all involved. We also want to thank our producers and sponsors. We are part of the United Public Radio Network, UPRN, coming to you from the beautiful city of New Orleans, 107.7 FM, and the United Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 FM. We want to thank Roku and Facebook listeners for being here, and our Facebook listeners. And I want you all to go and have a lovely, lovely time this week. And Preston, last words.
Oh, thanks, Martin. I had a great time. I knew it was a good idea to bring you on the show because you have really brought a lot of light to this subject. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Till next time. Thanks for coming.